Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another exciting edition of Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to spending some time with you this afternoon and answering some of your questions. And the concept of Free Advice Friday, obviously a very complicated one. We get together live on YouTube on Fridays and we give out advice for free. That's pretty much how it works. And so, looking forward to today's installment of Free Advice Friday. It's one that we had to reschedule from a previous earlier setting or earlier date, but he's with us now and he is ready to answer all of your questions about automotive because he is the king of automotive. So if you want to learn how to do something, you learn how to do it by talking to the best. And so we've brought in the best. Cliff Zellman is here. Cliff is the best, the king of automotive. Cliff, it's good to have you on Free Advice Friday.
Wow. Thanks, Mark. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Do I need to turn up, down? We're good?
Maybe up just a little.
Check 1, 2. How's that?
There
Better?
you go.
Okay. Oh, good, 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 good. Well, wow. Thank you for that regal introduction. Thank you so much. It was, you talk about branding, and I guess, organic branding is something good.
It
Uh,
is.
didn't really plan on it, 40 years ago when I started doing rock and roll back in the LA days of the 80s and late 70s, but that's kind of, you know, led me into automotive. And for the last 25 years, I've absolutely adored it. It's fast paced, it's clean, it's next, next, next. You record it at, you do the voiceover at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're on the air at 5, and 2 weeks later, you get to do it all over again.
So this is going to be good because I mean, look, I've had the opportunity to coach with you a little bit. I know we have unfinished business. We'll
Mm-hmm.
get to that at some point. But you are a frigging brilliant director. You
Oh,
really
thank
are.
you.
Like you really are. And I've worked with a lot of different coaches, and I often tell people the two greatest directors that I have worked with from a coaching standpoint are you and Tom Pinto. You just have a way of breaking things down, making it clear, helping us to understand. And so I'm grateful for that. But I know that your specialty, obviously, automotive, it can be a very lucrative genre of voiceover, but it's one that I think is sometimes overlooked. And I remember telling you one of the things that I really liked about automotive is that unlike other genres of voiceover where there doesn't seem to be a clear path as far as how the read is supposed to go, and it's all acting and open to interpretation and all of that sort of stuff. Automotive still to a degree has a set of rules that you follow. There are
Oh,
certain things in the script that you got to hit this, you got to get that, you got to focus on this, and so obviously there's still an acting element to it, but there's also a little bit of a formula, which for a guy like me made it a little bit easier to understand and comprehend. But talk to us a little bit about the basics of doing automotive while we wait for some commercials to pop into the chat here, or rather wait
all
for some
right.
comments.
Sure, sure. Great that you said that. Um, a commercial read is open to interpretation, a great read, ownership, all the things that go along with a great commercial read. Same thing with automotive, except there are very key elements within an automotive script. Surely you know about my 15 points of an automotive read. And if anybody's watching this, I'd be happy to send you, shoot me an email. We'll give my email address at the end, and I can send you the 15 points. And it covers just about everything that you need to pay attention to and you need to be aware of when it comes to automotive. And from the very beginning, there's obviously location, uh, character, location, who you are, who the dealership is, what the sale terms or incentives are, call to action, creation of urgency, reiteration at the end. There's the difference between terms and incentive terms, how much and how long. Incentives are what's the reason that I should buy this car to
Yep.
make me feel great or make my life wonderful. Um, and if you listen to a car spot and you follow the 15 points, you can almost tell what's coming next. And the thing about automotive is if I would give one script to 10 voiceover talents, and I'm talking, you know, top shelf voiceover talents, maybe I would get two back that would tell me these people know automotive.
Know what
And
they're
those
doing.
that are casting for automotive, we can really tell instantly. I mean, a great read's a great read. but reiteration of prices. Automotive has a lot of comparative reads, comparing this to this. You can get new or used, 28,495, 33,695. We know you're not going to remember everything that we say in a short amount of time. One of the examples, visual, is you're driving in your car, your windows roll down, kids are in the back screaming and yelling, someone's honking at you, and you're supposed to remember what you hear in a car commercial as you're driving. Well, probably not, which is one of the reasons we don't really give out phone numbers. Have a big long phone number there. We like 1-800, I really want a brand new Kia. That works. Um, but if you're listening to the script subconsciously, you're going to hear comparisons. You're going to hear two or three different models. You're going to hear different prices. Maybe one price is out of your budget, the other price is in your budget.
Right.
You might glaze over 65,000 and your ears will perk up at 22,000. And what's so exciting about automotive right now is that for the last, I would say, beginning of mankind, humankind, uh, men pretty much dominated automotive.
Yep.
Tier one, national; tier two, regional; and tier three, local. Well, one of the good things, and I speak very broadly on this, one of the good things that COVID brought to us, and the automotive world, as much of a beating as we took, and man, let me tell you something, Mark, automotive industry, probably more than anybody else. Toilet paper, I guess the first month or two. Remember that? That was crazy, wasn't it? Oh my
We were
God.
all afraid that we were never going to be able to wipe our butts ever again. And now we literally have a lifetime supply stashed in basements all over America.
All over, yeah, with guards. I guess the guards have gone home at this point. But you'd see a bottle of bleach, you'd get so excited.
Yep.
Um, so what COVID did is it gave us almost a new mindset to say, look, we can't keep doing what we've been doing at least for the next year or two,
Yep.
until we start injecting, Lysol into our veins, and that'll clear everything up. But we didn't really have any, no new models, no incentives, no $2,500 off, no, zero payments for XXX, whatever. So what we had to do was we had to tone down and
Yep.
say, we're still here. We're here for you. We'll pick up your car. We're going to focus on our service bays. We're going to focus on maintaining the relationship, going online. If you worked with, Mike on the lot, work with Mike online. And it calmed us down. And we're back definitely to the, some of the more enthusiastic, I don't like to use the word hard sell, more enthusiastic reads,
Yep.
because when you think hard sell, it really puts you into a box of this guy.
Yeah, there's definitely a perception there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that guy definitely exists. And you don't want to compete with them because they will rip you apart.
Yeah.
But but an enthusiastic read could be a 17-year-old, could be a 20-year-old that just graduated college. No, brilliant, but no money.
Mm-hmm.
So they're opting for a Kia. They're opting for a cool Hyundai. Kia and Hyundai, by the way, are like the best cars made now. Pretty bizarre. 250,000 miles. These things are. They had a problem. They came out with the cheap cars first, and that
Yep.
kind of built a stigma. And like, oh, I don't want to get a Kia, but dang, man, if you've seen the new ones, at a parking lot, what the heck is that? Oh my God, that's a Kia. They're beautiful. Anyway, it's opened the doors to women, and not only tier one national, but local as well. And I've never seen, and this is today's Friday. This is just a bit of this week's scripts that we had to deal with. 50% of them were women.
Nice.
And that's great. Years and years ago, I attended a FAFCon and I stood up at my first one. Nobody knew who I was. And I said, I'm going to work really hard to get women into automotive. I want to calm it down. I don't want the screaming every now and then. They're fun, Carzilla coming to crush high prices, with the guy holding the dinosaur, or Car Wars, choo choo, wiping out the cheapest cars in the universe, choo choo choo. And they're fun. But when you have nothing to sell, you have to kind of, reevaluate.
Yep.
My goodness, what are we going to sell? So now, of course, we watch TV and it's baseball season again. Go Rangers, yeah. Holy cow! I know
I don't
you're.
know.
I
It's
know
I
you're.
don't think I could be a Red Sox fan this year. So
Ooh, boy, I'll tell you, I'm not going to say anything about Oakland right now, but uh, I'll tell you, man, the Rangers are killing. We had 8 years of just awful baseball.
it's true. You guys deserve a break.
We do deserve a break, and I think we're like 18-6 now. I mean, that's pretty good. So you watch baseball, every other advertisement on sports on TV, primetime TV, it's all automotive. Count how
Yep.
many are
Yep.
female. How awesome is that?
Yep.
Um, the One Voice conference is coming up in Dallas in my own backyard, and they are having a male and female automotive category. And I'm sponsoring the male award, and Jenna Birmingham. If we don't know Jenna, we definitely will. We'll be sponsoring the female
Jenna, who is
partnership.
actually watching live right now. I saw her popping into the chat earlier.
Hey, Jenna. Um, Super talent and great addition to this genre. She represents it well, and opening herself up to coaching and doing a thing that I highly recommend with my buddy Troy Holden. They're doing monthly automotive workouts from a women's point of view, which is great.
Cool.
Um, and they're selling out quick, and they're
Right.
keeping them small, you know, because with automotive, there's a lot to talk about in a script.
Yep.
It's not just, okay, make it sweeter. Okay, no, we need to talk about this thing in this line, this thing in this line. One line can have four key elements in one sentence.
Yep.
Each one has to have its own face, its own weight. You have to allow. Here's a good word of advice when reading automotive or actually reading anything. If you know that there's going to be a video that's going to accompany it, um, think about how your read affects the video editor.
Mhm.
Are you slurring things together? Are you allowing him time to do nice cuts? And time is really only 200 milliseconds.
Yep.
You know, uh, um, and when it comes to Monday morning meetings, if you're the right voice, hey, what do you think about this guy? Video editor chimes in, yeah, I love her, I love him. Why? It doesn't matter, but in his mind, he loves how he
Yep.
can cut to her.
Yep.
So with automotive, a lot of movement in an automotive spot. Um, Sometimes it's written into the script. You'll see an ellipses. You'll see, before the scarecrow cries, dot, 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 before the sun rises, dot, dot, dot. That's fine. There's going to be a lot of space in between. But usually, tier three automotive, I mean, it's pretty wall to wall.
Yep.
We've got 2 vehicles, 3 vehicles. They have prices, they have incentives, they have terms. If it's a pre owned vehicle, if we're talking about a price specifically, we have to have some form of disclaimer in there. So, a lot of information is pumped into a 30.
Yep.
A well written spot makes it comfortable to listen to. Spots that I get sometimes are 4 or 5 seconds long. I'll try to layer. If it doesn't work, I'll call the director. I mean, I'll call the client and I'll say, hey, this ain't going to work. So, a lot of voice talents are very worried about getting it in 30. Got to get it in 29.9. If it's an upbeat spot, and there's not a whole lot of holes in there, you can do 20, you can do 30, 31, 32, and allow the editor to do a little cutting, layering on every other track. A little bit of digital time compression kind of gives a little edge to it.
Yep.
If you send in a spot for production that's 29.9, there's really nothing I can do with it. It lays where it lays.
Yep.
Of course, you can always edit holes and move things around, but really more than the timing is the interpretation and the understanding, of the copy that you read. But let's move on a little bit.
Let's get to some questions because I see there's some questions
Oh,
that are starting to pop up. So, and if
okay, good. Yeah,
you, for
let's
anybody watching, if you have a question that you would like to ask, if you can put it into the comments, just put a Q beside it so it pops out for me, makes it easier for me to find. Here's the first question, Jason Arnold: does automotive work mostly come through agents? Now, this is an interesting question because you talked about tier one, tier two, tier three, and I suspect that that is going to be a factor in where the work comes from too. So, where do we find it?
Well, let's break that down into 2 sides. Okay,
Okay.
tier one, tier three. Tier two is regional. We don't really need to talk about that. That's a lot of drops. A lot of test drive today at your North Texas Toyota truck dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Flip the page. Test drive today at your local Lubbock dealer. Flip the page. Flip the page. Flip the page. Tier 1, national automotive, plays all across the country.
Okay.
Those spots, wherever they come from, most of the time, a pretty high-end tier 1 spot's going to come from an agent. It's going to come from an agent that has a history of tier 1 automotive, that has the talent roster. So tier 1 automotive is going to come to you.
Okay.
However that may be. It may be through pay to play. It may be through pay to play. Remember, you're up against 5,000 other people, and I'm
Yep.
convinced they don't listen to more than 12 until they find one that they can tolerate, and then they use it. No good, no
You're
good,
probably not
no
wrong.
good, no good, not quite, not quite. Oh, this guy's okay, booked. So it's
Yep.
the first guy that doesn't make you want to go work at Walmart. I got nothing wrong with working at Walmart. So tier 1 could come from a director that you worked with a month or two ago. Tier 1 could come from a production company that you worked with a couple months ago. Tier 3, on the other hand, you have to find it. And whenever I start any kind of workshop or any kind of coaching or any kind of something like this, I always start, and if you've heard me say this, excuse me, you've heard the old expression, if you build it, they will come.
Mhm.
They will not.
Okay.
They will not come. You could have the best demo, you could have the best website, you could have the best email signature, you could have the best writing all over Facebook, which is useless for something like this. We'll get into that in a minute. Unless you are prepared to market yourself. Now, how do you do that? Well, obviously, I'm talking to the man that can set you up with that better than just about anybody on the planet. The newly revised, and correct me if I'm wrong, playbook has just come out.
Mhm.
You need a playbook. The demo to your automotive demo is the last part of the puzzle. You go ahead and you create a section in your current website /automotive, another page. You create that, you build that, and you just leave a placeholder for the demo. You create a playlist, placeholder for the demo. You create an Excel sheet that has at least 75 to 100 names of production companies that specialize in this genre. This genre can be automotive, of course, furniture stores, local furniture stores, cash pawn. They all kind of have that same sound to it. Urgent, sale, don't miss out. Um, Tier 3 can be incredibly lucrative if you're a go-getter. So people that come to me that want to do tier 3, and we'll talk about tier 1 in a second, that come to me about tier 3 is before you spend a dime, make sure you like marketing. Make sure you understand Excel. Make sure that you know how to work LinkedIn. When you go to LinkedIn, you go to that little magnifying glass, you type in automotive, automotive merchandising, automotive media, automotive advertising, everything you can think of with automotive. You're going to get a bunch of rooms. Don't just look at the person that's posting. Look at the responses, because for every single post, there could be 10 or 15 responses.
Yep.
Each one of those responses, considering that it's LinkedIn and not Facebook. Facebook is great for what I had for dinner, pictures of my dog, which is, I don't know if you can see her right over there. Wait, I got to go over this side. There's my best friend right there. If you know me by now, you know my dog. Look at who's answering. And because it's LinkedIn, you're going to have their work history. You're going to have their contact information, website,
Yep.
business, all that stuff. So start building. Make one of those columns in your Excel sheet a red dot column. And that red dot, anything that has a red dot, any row that has a red dot, you're going to come back and look at later. You don't need to investigate every single production company that you're adding to your Excel sheet. Some of them are going to be obvious. You know, RPM Automotive Production. Okay, great. NRG Automotive Octane Production. That's pretty obvious. But if you
Yep.
get something, like World Media, well, that could be print, that
Yep.
could be kiosks, that could be banners, that could be anything. Put them on there anyway. And then when you got 10 or 15 amongst another 70, spend a day just investigating those red ones. Find out a little bit more. If you spend a half hour investigating every entry into your Excel sheet, you're never going to get anywhere. Those that could create a positive lead, that column is empty. If you're not sure, put a red or put a yellow. Slow down. I love red, green, and yellow. Go, slow down, and stop.
Makes
That's
sense,
my
right? It's pretty hard to mess up the meaning of those ones. So,
no. It's pretty ingrained, since
yep.
driver's ed, since we were falling asleep in those little things that they don't have driver's ed anymore. There was a big trailer that used to pull up to the parking lot of junior high school and high school, and you'd sit in all these rows, and you'd have your own little screen, and the car would be on a thing, and it would go back and forth, and I would always fall asleep. I don't know what brought that up, um, but yeah, having your ducks in a row. There was a great video of cat rustling. Tried to rustle cats. You get and they all scatter. But when you get your ducks in a row, and trying to get your ducks in a row, it's not easy. Those ducks will take off. You'll find little things, little hurdles in every one of those ducks that you're trying to get in a row. But when you get them in a row, you've got a whole, universe around you saying, man, I've got my emails, I've got my introduction, I've got some great follow-up emails. And that does not consist of, hey, did you get my demo? I'd love your opinion. There are ways to follow up.
Yep.
And my general rule, and since we're doing advice, give me a reason to open your email.
Yeah.
That's it. Give me a reason to open it. Some people will send me spots that they've done. I love that stuff. I get to see, my people working. I get to see a spot from another state.
Hmm.
I get to compare. There's a lot of value in sending me work that you did in Billings, Montana.
Sure.
So give me a reason to open your email. Send that introductory email. Make it short. 2 sentences. Who you are, what you do, why should I hire you, and thank me for the consideration. I don't need to know anything about you at all.
Yep.
Until I hear your demo. There's a lot of rules of building relationships. I'm all for that. I love building relationships. I go to every single convention I possibly can. I'm involved in as many social things as I can to build relationships.
Hmm.
But when you're reaching out to work with automotive people, the relationship comes later.
Yep.
The first thing that comes is your demo.
Yep.
The shortest point between A and B. Get that demo into their hands as quickly and as easily as possible.
Yep.
If it means dropping your MP3 into the email, do it. Make that email so it doesn't look like it's a virus. And honestly, viruses come from Amazon, banks you've never heard of. Click here to cancel your $600 order. That's a virus.
Yep.
But professional automotive demo, greetings, Mr. Zellman. That hopefully,
Feel
and
pretty
if it
safe
is,
about that one. Yeah.
and if it is, congratulations. You're
Yeah.
pretty darn
You made
clever.
it past the block.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some other questions here. We've got a lot of questions that are popping in.
Oh,
Rosanna says, "Can you get a good amount of opportunities through marketing in your region or primarily agencies?" So I'm thinking maybe she's talking like marketing to local dealers, or are you marketing to agencies? So touch on that.
you don't need to market to an automotive dealership.
Okay.
All right. Cliff Zellman Chevy in the heart of Dallas doesn't know what to do with your demo.
Right.
You send it to the production company. You want to get on a production company's roster the exact same way you want to get on the roster of a talent agent.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do tier 1, you probably have to have some pretty decent representation.
Right.
You're up against some pretty powerful talent. You're also up against Matthew McConaughey, who is awesome and deserves every second that he's sitting behind the wheel of a Lincoln because he's amazing.
John Cusack and what was Dennis Leary they were doing John
Dennis
Cusack did
Leary?
GM and Leary did Ford trucks
and Sam Elliott and
yeah.
Who's the British lady? I can never remember her name. Anyway, and they're great. Sometimes voice actors, oh man, why are they doing, voiceover? Well, they're really good.
Yeah.
And like the second part of voice actor is actor.
Mm-hmm.
But there's plenty of room in tier 1 for the non-celebrity. Very often a manufacturer will do a national sale. And that's simply just somebody walking through a dealership wearing the red shirt and the name tag and the beige pants, talking about, the great sale going on this week at Sign and Drive, blah, 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 blah. All the, and those aren't the every red light and every stop sign, get into that ethereal kind of read. So that stuff is the higher tiered stuff is probably going to come from a higher tiered organization.
Right.
And it could be an individual, like I said earlier, a director that you worked with 3 months ago.
Yep.
If you do tier one, and from my mouth to God's ear, you get a national Chevy spot, you can't do anything else
Yeah.
for the length of the contract. It's written in, it's not a perpetuity thing. It's just you, it's a non compete.
Yep.
And with every national spot comes a stack of papers, union papers, legal papers, background check, making sure that you're not the voice of Cliffy Dallas Dodge of the last 20 years. Because this national spot can be played in any radio station on any TV station at any given time for the length of the run. Now, how much do you get for a national? Well, I mean, it could be huge. It could be 5,000 up to 150,000, depending upon who you are. Maybe more, maybe less, whatever. Um, that's between you and your agent and your lawyer. Um, if you do tier three and you're all over the country, states, every state, you're saying, the question was about marketing regional.
Yep.
When you market tier three, you're marketing every single advertising agency across the country. And the basic rule is once you land a dealership, you don't want to be within 100 miles of the airspace of where that dealership is advertising. So if I'm in Dallas, I can have a dealership in San Antonio, I can have a dealership in Austin, I can have a dealership in Houston. Texas might not be the best
I was going to
example.
say Texas, half the continental United States in square footage or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, but the point is about 150 miles. You get a call from an agency, hey man, you got somebody in this region. You say, yeah, I do. They say, okay, great, we'll call you next week. You didn't lose a gig. They know you're popular. They know they got to jump on you when they have an opening. Um, the more people you reach out to over a period of time, I'm not saying to do 150 emails and shoot them out on Friday. I like doing 5 or 6 at a time a week.
Yep.
Do 5 or 6 a week. That way, you can always go back and modify. God
Yeah.
forbid you have a typo. Good Lord.
Yes.
Or the word comes to you. It's just about you're falling asleep. Infuse. That's the word I wanted to use. So you go back in the morning. Of course, you make a note on your nightstand because you're going to forget in the morning. I come up with the greatest scripts that just as I fall asleep. Oh, I'm going to remember in the morning.
Yeah. I never, ever remember in the morning, ever.
No, you've got to write it down. And then you have to interpret what your handwriting is at 3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning.
Good
Right?
luck with that. I want to touch
So
on something that you brought up quickly. You mentioned about on the tier one and getting a stack of union papers, which I think probably brings up an interesting point for voice actors, union versus non-union for automotive. And how does that go across tiers?
I am not an expert.
Okay.
However, I think any non-union job can be converted to union.
Okay. But do you
That's
have to be union like tier one probably because it's national, but
yeah,
tier three,
yeah,
for example, probably.
absolutely not. You
Yeah.
are Cliffy working in your fourth bedroom.
Yeah. Okay.
You are Mister 1099
Yep.
all the way.
And I think
And
that's important for people to understand.
yes, and what's also important is that it doesn't matter where you live.
Yeah.
You could live in the beautiful state of Idaho.
Mhm.
You could live, in El Paso, God forbid. I no longer fear Satan or hell, for I have been to El Paso, Texas. I'm kidding. I don't no nasty emails. I went during a windstorm 2 weeks after 9/11. It was not a happy time. But it's really tier one is such a great genre because it's totally up to you. And you invented VOpreneur. This is the classic example of VOpreneur. You're not, yes, it's fun to do demos. Yes, it's fun to send out. Yeah, but how much fun is it to sit and wait for your phone to ring?
Yeah.
When your career is at the beck and call of agents, if you're hot, you're hot,
Yep.
great. I mean, some people that I know I'm associated with ACM saying signing to the ACM was the greatest thing they've ever done in their lives. It was by far the best career move they've ever made. Um, for others that are either not in that realm or that world, um, this is perfect. You need no representation. You're representing yourself.
Yep.
Um, if you're not booking, it's your fault.
Yep.
I can give you all the tools in the world. I can teach you till we're blue in the face if you have talent.
If you got
Let's
talent.
let's stress that.
I say the
There are
same thing
some
with
people.
playbook though, right? I can give you the playbook and it can literally walk you through it step by step, but if you don't actually do anything with it, then
Yeah.
you're not going to
And
get any results.
and you don't do it to impress me. You don't do it to impress Mark. You do it to impress yourself.
Yep.
And when I accomplished something today that I can't get into because it's a little NDA, but I accomplished something today that was spectacular. And it meant me writing a letter,
Yep.
stating my case.
Mhm.
Got 2 thumbs up
Yep.
in the response. So more than any other genre of voiceover, automotive is in your hands. Now that's a daunting task, but it's also a very exhilarating
Sure.
concept to say, wow, I can do this. There are ways to chart your progress that are very, very easy. Anybody that knows me, and I'm sure a good percentage of people watching in are, you know, uh, looking here for a refresher or just to hopefully see my smiling face. Um, I talk about a map. I love to have a map on the wall, and I can't move my camera, otherwise I'd show you my map. But I have a map with pins that indicate everything that I'm doing, and all of those pins are reflective within my Excel sheet.
Yep.
So number 17 on my Excel sheet, whatever that is, reflects a pin with a number 17 on it. 3 sets of pins. I'll go very brief. I know people have died for this information. Um, but 3 pins, green, you sent your email out. Green light, open road, who knows what's going to happen. When you
Yep.
hear back, you get a yellow pin. You swap out the green for the yellow, keeps the same number. You put it right on the physical location of the production company. That green pin is physical location of the production company. The yellow pin means I have made contact with that physical location production company. That contact could be good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
We love you. We hate you. We never want to hear from again. We got a spot for you. You're ready in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What are your rates? I'm not going to go into rates on this discussion because basically
Because we
the
could do literally 2 hours on that.
yeah, yeah, that's going to be a master class on itself. It has a lot to do with where you are, and not to bring on, oh, you're ready to edit this out, not to bring on a absolute $5 fiver mentality. Now, I got a little mosquito. Another, fiber works, whatever. If you want to use it, use it. That's up to you. But don't take the $5 for the spot.
Yeah.
Don't take the 50. Don't take the 75. Don't take the 100. It starts at 200 and
Yep.
works its way up from there. You say, oh my God, I've seen people write on Facebook, hey, I got offered a local spot for $250. What the heck? I told them to take a hike. But you don't look at it that way. That's 250 for one spot. And then you'll
And
get
automotive is, generally speaking, automotive is a short life cycle too, right? And that's the thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting about. These spots could be on the air for a week.
The life of every spot is written into the script.
Yeah, whatever the date is for the sale. Yeah.
Whatever the date is for the sale, as soon as those incentives or those terms, right? Incentive, what makes you want to buy it and feel good about yourself. Terms, how much and how long. Once those change, and they change constantly because we want to constantly get you excited. Can't be the same offer every week.
Yep.
It's like the same dinner every night. They have to be revoiced. Those spots that have expired offers can't be run. We could be fined for that.
Yep.
Or the dealership's going to have to go ahead and give it to them, and then the production company is fined. Media placement, media buying, it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of money,
Yep.
a lot of responsibility. You got to be right on the money. So, yes, it's recurring. And let's put it this way: 13, 14, 12 automotive manufacturers at any given time, 4, 5, 6 models. Every model has an ad, and every ad's good for 2 weeks.
Yep.
So one dealership could be a one, and I never put all of my bags into one basket. I like to kind of stretch them out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
One dealership could be 50% of your income for the year.
Yep.
Imagine 2, imagine 3, 4, 5, 6 dealerships.
Yep.
There are 19,000, and Google me, I may be wrong, but I don't think so. 17 to 19,000 new car dealerships and about 130,000 pre-owned dealerships
Jeez.
across the country.
So there's
Now,
plenty of opportunity out there.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
of them are big boys. Some of them have their own production companies.
Yep.
The big boys where the libraries and the parks are named after the guy that owns the dealership.
Yep.
He's probably got his own production company because it's moving so fast.
Yep.
Revisions, changes. I do production Thursday, Friday. I'm still working on it Saturday. Monday morning, I get a notice that all the incentives have changed or the new incentives have just come out. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, as far as the voice actor is concerned, that's a whole nother spot.
Yep. More money.
Revisions are great. Revisions are wonderful. We love revisions. Basic rule for revisions. Let's say you've got 10 lines in your script. If you get a revision for 5 lines or less, it's 50% of your original invoice. If it's 6 lines, 1 line more than half of the original copy, it's a full read.
Nice. There's a
Somebody
pro tip.
lowball.
Write that one down.
Here's a great line if you're getting lowballed. Somebody's offering you $75 a read. You're very respectable. You're very nice. You're thrilled that they're even considering you. You know, um, you say, I appreciate it. I've been following you guys for a while, but if I accept that price, it wouldn't be fair to my other clients.
Yep.
Dude, you can't beat that. That's a beautiful line. It wouldn't be fair to my current or other clients.
Very diplomatic.
It's extremely diplomatic. I mean,
Yep.
I'm getting paid this amount for people that I've been working with for 10 years. Why should I give you, who's somebody who's brand new, unproven? You know, when I used to audition for bands, I would go in as a guitar player. I'd always walk in. Am I good? Not, am I good enough to play with them? Are they good enough to play with me? Now,
Yep.
of course, they were. You know, they were probably 10 times better than me, but I went in with that attitude.
Yep.
Are they good? So you do that with your clients
Do
too.
that
Are your
same
clients,
thing.
are they
Yep.
good enough to work with you?
Yep.
And, you know, how do they treat you? How do they pay you? How quickly do they pay you? And when you're doing local automotive, here's another word of advice. When you're doing a local automotive and you've got 10, 15, 20 spots a month for one particular agency, you bill them on the first of the month for everything for the previous month. One Excel sheet, production order, date, production order, AE who assigned it to you, and how much. And you've got a whole list, 10, 20, 15, 25 on there. One invoice sent on March for everything you did in February. You send one invoice for everything you did.
Okay.
Do not send, and because this is recurring, right?
Yeah.
If it's a one-off job, yeah, you do the
Totally
invoice.
different. Yep.
You wait a day or two to see if there's any revisions. You pace back and forth for them to respond, say, "Great job,"
Yep.
Where do we send the payment? Or we should have that beforehand. But you know, I forgot where I was going with this. Where was I going with this, Mark?
We were covering a lot of ground on rates. How about we take another? Well, let's take another question here because there's a bunch of questions getting in the chat, and I want to get to some of these questions. This is from Matthew. It says, "Are the automotive spots changing a lot based on streaming services? So, is there a localized delivery, a national delivery? Does the delivery change maybe even from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3? The style, the tone, the
Good
vibe."
question. Definite delivery between tier 1 and tier 3.
Okay.
And it's the basic concept of why the spot exists. A tier 1 spot is vehicle centric. We're talking about the car, all about the car, how it interacts with you, how it helps your life, how it makes you a superstar, how it's everything you've ever wanted. The car, vehicle centric. Tier 3 is all about the dealership. So we're talking about the community, the location, customer service. Meet Bob. We donate to charity. We sponsor every Little League team. So it's a different focus of advertisement. When you're doing tier 1, it's all about the car. And if anything, you're going to get at the end of the spot 1-800-NEW-FORD.
Right.
Okay, what happens when you call that number? You're going to go to an operator center. You're going to hear 1,000 other people, and the person on the other end of the phone is going to say, "What's your area code? What's your zip code?" Sorry. And you say 75248. And they say, "Okay, you're in Dallas. You need to go see this person. Thank you very much. Have a nice day." But when you do a tier 3 automotive, you're revealing everything about that dealership. Our history for over 40 years. We do this, we supply that. So did that answer the question? Oh, streaming, it doesn't matter.
Well, let's take that one step further because this is a question from Jason. He says, Does it take a certain type of voice? So while we're talking about the different types of automotive, the tier 1, the tier 2, the tier 3, you talked about the fact earlier that females are becoming more prominent, but, is there room for all different voice types in this?
Yes, as I say, somewhat apprehensive. Thing about voiceover, a lot of people say you don't have to have a great voice to be in voiceover. You kind of do.
Right.
And I don't mean great, but I mean interesting. A voice that cuts through, a voice that gets my attention.
Yep.
When I am involved in national spots, what I'll do if I have to write or whatever I have to do, I'll look at the car and I'll have a conversation with that car. How would that car talk to me? How would it respond? What voice would it have? It's a BMW, but would it have a British accent? Humanize the car. So if you're doing, I mean, so how many different vehicles are there? How many different voices?
Yeah.
You could talk about a Kia Soul. We're going to the beach in our new Kia Soul, or the all new Infinity. So any
There's a
voice,
broad range. Yeah.
it's a broad range. However, national, like I said, is vehicle, all about the car. Tier 3 is all about the dealership and the community. You want to fit into the community and be one of them.
Right on.
So voices, absolutely, man. As long
There's
as you can nail the read, sure,
there's room for everyone. All right. Sean says, okay, I'm
definitely.
sold. Where do I sign up for coaching with Cliff? So
Shoot me an email. Shoot me
let
an
me let
email.
me put this up on the screen here. So there's all the different places where you can get in touch with Cliff. We've got Instagram, we've got LinkedIn, we've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, and theamazingdemos.com. I'm assuming if people go to amazingdemos.com that they'll be able to find contact information for you there as well.
And about 180 demos to listen to.
And about 100. No, there you go. So
Yeah.
if you are interested in doing that, there's a bunch of different ways that you can get in touch. Let me see. What else have we got going on here? Here we go. This is a great question from Briscoe VO. Hey, Cliff, what are some of the different titles that decision makers in the industry that we need to market to? Good question.
Very good question. You're going to want to look at what people do. To me, the main one, the big one, the bingo one is account executive or AE. An account executive with an ad agency is the direct contact with the dealership. Voice talent doesn't want to talk to the dealership. Nobody wants to talk to the dealership. One person, the AE. They're the one that contacts them. What do you want to do this month? What offers do you want to run? What do we want to change? What kind of foot? The AE talks directly to the dealer. The AE then goes back to the rest of the agency and disseminates the information that needs be. After that would be creative director, person that kind of oversees the creative end.
Okay.
After that would be a copywriter, possibly, if they have one listed in their website.
And
Then we
these
move
are at the age. These are at the advertising agency or the
Agency.
automotive agency, to be clear. Not that you're looking for
Let's.
the account executive at the dealership.
You don't even forget the dealership.
Forget the dealership. It doesn't exist.
The dealership. You need a priest. Well, I was going to say you need a priest to talk to God, which you don't. But something like that. The agency is the buffer between
Right.
the
Yes.
voiceover talent and the dealership, because dealerships want to sell cars. They're numbers people.
Yep.
They're looking to the ad agency to solve their problems as far as media promotion, getting the word out, being compelling, being fun, not being offensive. So, video editor, audio editor. When I was at Radio Vision for 25 years, doing 10 spots a day, on a good day, my partner and I would often do 12 spots, 6 between us in a day. I would get demos all the time from people. I'm the audio editor. I'm listening to audio. You're producing audio. It makes sense.
Yep.
Here's another piece of advice about sending out, unless you want to jump to a question. Let's jump to another question.
All right. Here's one from Marc. When creating a demo, should I include a hard-hitting, gravelly element to show range, even if it's not in my usual energetic guy next door type? Thanks.
Let me think about this. No. You always want to be your wheelhouse. When I produce a demo, I will take you. I'll get to know you very well. And which makes when the demo's over very hard, because we have our demo separation depression. Every spot on your demo should be a representation of you in a different mood and a different place and a different time. Throughout the course of the day, there's 7 or 8 different Marcs. when you look at your babies,
Yep.
when you're stuck in traffic, when the lady in front of you at the market is paying in pennies. You take all of these emotions and all of these outlooks and all of these characters, but they're all you. So when you're hired, you don't have to go too far. You know, if you're going to get hired off your demo, and we've all been hired off our demos, hopefully, there's a real good chance that they're going to say, we love the Dodge spot.
Yeah.
We love the Cadillac spot. Okay. That's the blueprint of how you're going to read. You're going to give the potential client 6 different styles that you're able to do. So, to answer that question, absolutely not. And I know I said it earlier when we were talking, unless you have that Bob Ford, announcer of the Houston Astros for
Right.
20 years voice, Altuve, this big, don't do it.
Right.
Because remember, you're competing against those guys. And here's another kind of fun thing. That's the only thing they can do. I get phone calls from these guys. Hey, Cliff, how you doing? It's Steve. Hey, Steve, how are you? I'm great. Hey, listen, That's the way they normally sound.
Yep.
So don't do it because and it's also, and I'm sure that people listening are going to disagree. I don't think people in America or Americans should do British accents on their demos.
There's British people for that.
Dude, and you know what? They're real good at it
And
too.
yeah, it comes naturally to them. It's amazing.
Whoa. And there ain't no shortage of great British voice actors at all of our beck and call. So no, don't do it.
Okay. That's fair.
Stick to you. Stick to real.
Stick to you. Here's a
Stick
good
to
question from Bruce. I don't know how do you find out who the dealer's AE is at the agency? So I don't say you're in a particular town and you would love to have the opportunity to work with a particular dealer. Is there a way that you could figure out what agency that dealer works with, who their account
That's
executive might be?
that's great information, but it's not that important because
Okay.
the ad agency is going to assign you the
Okay.
dealership. When I first moved to Dallas, gosh, back in 20 what? No, 1995. Good Lord. I was driving down a freeway that I've never driven down before, and I see a dealership, cool looking dealership named Sports City Toyota. And I look at that and I go, ooh, I want them to be, they're going to be my client. One day they're going to be my client. Sure enough, I've been doing Sports City Toyota for the last 7 or 8 years. How? It was brought to me.
Brought to you. Yeah.
Radio Vision went out, told them how awesome Radio Vision is, what we can do for them, how we can help them out on a number of ways. They bought into the program, and it's been years and years and years. They will come to you. Don't worry about the dealerships, because the dealership that you might want to work with, they may be set. Rick has been doing their voice for the last 10 years. They're very
Yep.
happy. Don't
Yep.
concentrate on somebody that already has what you have to offer.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the expectations. So I'm trying to think of how to set this up. In promo, for example, they call it the golden handcuffs because, you can't be out, you got to be within 2 hours of a studio at any given time in order to cut that last minute promo. I know that there can be an element of that in automotive when things are changing very quickly. So talk a little bit about what a voice actor needs to know going in. Like if you've got a full-time, 40-hour a week, 9 to 5 day job, this might not be the genre for you based on what may be required, particularly on the tier 3 level, I'm guessing, but clarify that for us. Help us
Well,
understand
if
that
you've got
side
a
of it.
9 to 5 job, you don't need to do automotive. You've
Right.
got a 9 to 5 job. I'm not saying quit your day job, but the golden handcuffs, yeah, man, get your travel rig ready. All you got to do is
Cliff has a travel rig right here on standby.
boom, right here. This is $150.
Is that the
It's an
AGO 3?
AGO 6.
Oh,
It's
okay. I was going to say
it's a
I've got an AGO 3. That's what I travel with.
It works great. It's
Yep.
got plenty of juice. It runs off of your computer. 416, built like a baseball bat. I have
Yep.
2. I got one at a great deal I couldn't refuse. That's in my travel rig. So have a travel rig with you. Also, know this. It's tier 3 automotive. It's not Shakespeare. We've got the tools to make you sound good. You record in a pillow fort, I can knock out 230 hertz and get rid of that. I can boost a little 3K. I can pretty much match what you did. I'm not worried. I got audio coming out the you know what sitting in front of me here.
Yep.
Uh, every plug-in UAD makes for every single possible, hurdle I could come across. Hopefully, I won't. But have your travel rig, and you can have the whole thing in a briefcase. If you don't know, if you're confused about a travel rig, or you want a couple suggestions, man, I mean, there's me, there's Uncle Roy, there's Larry Hudson, George
Everybody
Whittam.
just needs one of George's vocal tri booths, and we'll just keep it in the back seat of your, or in the trunk of your car, and you set it up in a
You
parking
can.
lot. And
Have you guys seen this? Talking about new toys.
oh, is this a new interface?
Oh, wait, where's the camera? There's the camera. This is a new interface. Is that cool? And it's two mics, and it's got RJ45. It's got headphone in, USB. It's got two microphone inputs. It's got bass and treble control. It's this big. It fits in your pocket.
Pocket. Yep.
And they
Yeah,
even make
there's
smaller
not a
single.
there, it's pretty hard to find an excuse to not be able to travel with gear in these days. So now let's talk a little bit then about, so I worked with one dealership. I've had one automotive client in my life that I worked with for probably about 3 years. And it was like every month, like clockwork, like almost the exact same day of the month. And it was, 3 radios and 3 TVs. And I was doing truck commercials, and it was beautiful. It was like a guaranteed paycheck on the 28th of every month or whatever it was.
That's great. Yeah.
So there's that side of it where it can be consistent like that. There's where it comes, maybe every week or whatever. Talk a little bit about, because I think that, I mean, there are people that are out there that are making a full-time, voice actors that are making a full-time living just from doing automotive,
Oh,
because
very
you
much so.
get enough dealerships sending you work consistently enough. Like that can be your whole thing.
Yes, it absolutely can. And that's the goal. The goal is to have your map, all the greens pins on your map turn to yellow, all the yellow pins, spawning red pins.
Yep.
You want your map to be yellow and red. Um, and honestly, and I'm not blowing smoke or do anything, you get yourself 4 dealerships. You make a list of 75 ad agencies. You get 4 of them. 4 of those ad agencies, one ad agency can give you 3 or 4 different clients. The multiple clients are going to come from the ad agencies. You don't have to go and procure this dealership, this dealership, this dealership, this dealership. You get an ad agency, those ad agencies already have those dealerships on their roster.
Yep.
So what happens is, and I thought this is kind of where you were going with this question, is why does it stop? Sometimes it'll stop.
Yep.
And it's no
Mine did.
fault of the voice talent. There's usually 2 reasons it happens. One, the dealership trades hands.
Yep.
They get a new owner, under new management, a whole new attitude. They bring in their own ad agency.
Yep.
Their own ad agency has their voice. Or the owner hires his brother-in-law who went to Guitar Center and bought a Yeti, and now he's voicing
He's a
the
voice
spot.
actor.
Yeah, he's got audacity, and again, nothing wrong with that stuff.
Yep.
But they gave him an empty office at the dealership, and he's reading the spots and throwing on the music. They'll realize eventually that, you get much better production from a professional production company. Plus you get the guidance, plus you get everything that goes with a professional production company. There's a reason we call them a turnkey. They do it all.
But there's a lesson in that as well, just in that once you've landed those, 3 or 4 or 5 dealers or whatever, and you're making money consistently, not to get complacent, because you never know when somebody's going to come in and want to take it in a different creative direction or whatever, and boom, there goes one of your dealerships. And if you've stopped making those connections, you find yourself in a position where you suddenly have a big hole in your income.
Right. It never stops. It's like the post office.
Yep.
And that's the way your work is. Your work is like the post office. If you do it right, it just keeps coming.
Derek has a question here. He says, when you're talking about the red pins, are they red because you're committed in that zone and you can't add someone else in that area?
Yes.
Okay.
And red sticks out.
Yep.
Red pin is the physical location of the dealership you were assigned to by the yellow pin. So number 17, Cliffy Production Company in Dallas, Texas, you could have 8 or 9, God willing, red pins up all across the country.
Right on.
And with Radio Vision, we had clients at any given time from Walla Walla, Washington to Vero Beach, Florida, all the way. Big X across, the entire country. No city, no state was off limits. Um, so, you know, you definitely want to have a stable
Okay.
of production companies. And if you're good, they want you.
Yep.
Tell them why they should hire you. Prove to them why, you can do this. You can turn it around in 2 hours. You can, and you can read it correctly. One of the neat things about automotive is there's little to no responsibility other than just reading the darn script correctly.
Hit the right spots and you're good to
Just hit
go.
the
Yep.
right spots. And if it's 28,492, don't say 28,429.
Right.
And if it does, you get down on your knees, you replace it immediately and say that'll never happen again.
Yep.
But audiobooks, oh my God, you guys are like the heroes of voiceover to me. The most amount,
Yes.
the responsibility and the acting and the time and the technical is insane. You
Yep.
know, um, you guys are heroes.
So we've got a couple minutes left. Let's talk a little bit
Already.
about what it's, what if we want to work with you, who's the right fit for automotive? Is there a right fit for automotive? Is anybody open to it? Do we book a session with you and you tell us, yes, you have what it takes to do automotive, or maybe this isn't the right genre for you? What's it like to work with, what do we got to do to work with Cliff? Because I know that there are people that are definitely going to want to work with you after this.
Oh, it's so funny, and thank you, Mark. 80% of the people that come up to me for the first time or send out an email to me is, "I saw you on a Mark Scott podcast." That's how every introduction to the whole VO community is. I saw you on a Mark
Well,
Scott
let's,
podcast.
well, let's keep the trend going and get you a few more
Yeah,
then.
buddy, definitely. Um, what we do is I'll send you a couple of scripts. I offer a very, very reasonable training program. A lot of fun, no pressure. You read, we discuss. The cost of that evaluation is immediately deducted off of the price of the demo. So it's not like I'm tacking stuff on. We schedule 4. If we need to do 5, we'll do 5. If I really want to hear you do it a little deeper, I'll send you another script. We do 6. I don't add on. I don't nickel and dime you. All demos are the same price. Talk to anybody if they'll tell you. But more than wanting to work with me, which is awesome, and I highly encourage it, do you want to work with yourself? And that's really what I ask you. And I'll spend a half hour like a rabbi trying to talk you out of converting to Judaism. It's like the opposite. No, it takes like 4 months before the rabbi, all right, already, here's the hat, this is how you wear the yarmulke and all that stuff. It's a little more complex than that. But, you know, I really want to zero in and make sure that this is going to work for you because really, honestly, Mark, and I'm talking honestly, the last thing I want to do is produce something that's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to work my butt off. I don't want to be sitting like this until 4 o'clock in the morning getting, demo as best as we can make it, and then have it sit on your desk for 6 months or not do anything.
So
So
from the voice actor standpoint, then what do we need to evaluate in ourselves? Is it time and availability to be able to turn around quickly? Is it that
yes,
ethic that it's going to take to actually commit to the marketing? Like, what are
yes.
the things that we can bring to the table that will make us more successful in the genre once we've had the opportunity to work with you then?
I would say excitement and enthusiasm for self marketing.
Yeah.
And not being, I mean, it could happen tomorrow. It could happen 6 months from now. It's just
Yeah.
like a genre of voiceover. So what you need is you need to have a great introductory email. You need to have a separate website ready, not a website, separate page in your website, cliffyvo /automotive. You need to have follow-up emails. And I talk about what to do, when we do one-on-one stuff. Understanding the 15 points of an automotive spot, finding your niche, finding where you belong. Um, I know myself as well as other demo producers, when we do commercial demos, one of the first things that we do is I say, give me a list of 15 products you absolutely love. Now, I may not use those products, but at least it's a springboard. I see where your head's at. So,
Yep.
what vehicles do you identify to? Where do
Yep.
you live? I live in Tennessee. Well, you know what? We can do the whole southeast side of the country. Will be just perfect for you. You can have an accent. You can not have an accent. Um, what you need to have in line is a commitment that you're not going to get discouraged.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. the first rule of VO is keep going. It's a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint. How
Yes.
many times have we said that to the point of almost ad nauseum?
Yep, it's
You know,
true.
you're building, you're building, you're building. If you don't get one today, maybe you'll get one tomorrow. But once you do, the thing is with automotive, once you lock into an production company and they like you, you're only up against 4 or 5 other guys or 4 or 5 other girls.
Do good
They,
work, and I mean that's gonna right. Work
you,
begets work in that regard.
exactly, and in life,
Yep.
good begets good,
Yep.
great begets great. Um, let's move on to another question. We got 1 minute. Where the hell did that time go?
It
Good
went really
Lord.
fast. Here, let me put this up again. If you want to reach out to Cliff, get connected with him on all the socials. But in particular, if you want to reach out and talk to him about automotive, if you think that this is a genre of voiceover that you may be interested in, definitely a genre worth exploring. The a-amazingdemos.com is the website there, and you'll be able to connect and email him through there. Cliff, this has been absolutely amazing. Lots of comments about, basically people feeling like they just sat through an automotive masterclass, which is
Ah,
basically what we just did. We just sat through a 1 hour automotive masterclass, which is actually one of the other things that I love about you is you just give it all away. Like,
well, you know
because
what?
you want people to succeed
I give it away, but it's worthless if you don't use it.
if you don't do anything with it.
It's priceless if you do.
Yep.
So the value of what I'm talking about is totally up to you.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Great
um,
point.
yeah. So it's there's no secrets to it. It's whether or not you want to do it.
Right on.
If there are any questions that I didn't get to, you can shoot me an email. I'll be happy to answer. If anybody wants to reach out to me at czellman10, czellman10.com at gmail.com, I'll be happy to answer your questions. I
Yep.
have no life. All I do is sit here all day and do this stuff
Do automotive.
and do automotive and do commercials and have a great time. And
And I'm assuming that you'll be doing some workshops or some breakouts or something at One Voice in Dallas as well.
yes, I'm doing a 3 hour workshop. I'm doing a 1 hour introduction. I'm doing a panel on ethics and best practices for demo producers.
Okay.
And I'm also doing a tech panel.
There you go. So you'll be
Um,
everywhere in Dallas. You'll be all over the
yeah,
place.
yeah. And the neat thing is I get to go home at 10 o'clock every night and sleep in my bed with my pillow.
Yeah, but are you
Uh,
really going to do that?
yes, dude. Look at it. See this hair right here? This dictates that I'm in bed
It's
by
time to go to bed. Yes. I
unless
hear
I'm
you.
home. Unless
Right
I'm
on.
home, then I don't go to bed till 3 in the morning. But if I'm out, I'm back in the house by 11. Mark, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you didn't have to stare at my goofy eye. Um,
Well, thank you for giving us an hour of your time and for like literally a masterclass. And for those of you that maybe jumped in late, the replay will be available. You'll be able to go back. I'll add some chapter markers to all the different questions that were asked and answered, so you'll be able to find stuff easily. But Cliff, this has been fantastic, and I hope that a whole bunch of more people reach out and explore the genre of automotive with you. Thank you so much.
thank you. I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Mark, thank you for bringing so much to the industry, for adding so much, and your demeanor, the way you do it. You don't come across as you're not challenging me, you're helping me. You're not belittling me, you're building me. And for that, I know I speak for many when I say thank you, and we appreciate you and all the work that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, everybody, whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, and as always, go find some leads.